West Ham will be looking to put our disappointing Premier League start behind us when we take on Charlton Athletic in round 2 of the EFL Cup on Tuesday night, live in front of the cameras, although you need to pay $10, 7:30 kickoff tomorrow night. We fell to a 2-0 loss at home to Newcastle in our opening game of the campaign, while Charlton kicked off their League One season with a victory over Crewe Alexandra. My name is Anton. Welcome back to Irons United for a Charlton preview. I am joined by fellow Irons United crew, Richard, all the way from Joburg, and Alf. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, all good, mate.
Yeah, very good.
Listen, before we just get your comments in throughout the show. Please let us know what your thoughts are on tomorrow's game, and we'll try our best to get through some of the comments if we can. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you are watching, click that button, click that thumbs up, and also make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Much appreciated recently for all the people that have been subscribing to the channel. So it's been great. So guys, Charlton Athletic EFL Cup on Tuesday. Last couple of years, Richards, we feel like sometimes the team we put out has been taking it serious, but we've been struggling, mate, and we're so desperate for a cup run, are we not?
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point you make, because I think we're all very disappointed with the performance that we put in this weekend, and I think all West Ham fans would love a cup run. So if it's going to be a roller coaster Premier League season, let's at least give our all in the cup and hopefully get as far as we can, because as West Ham fans, we do really, really love a cup run. So it'd be fantastic if we could get ourselves to a semi-final or a final this season, because I don't think many of us are feeling very confident about the Premier League campaign.
Oh no, I know. It's been a tough couple of days. Alf, I mean, West Ham, of course, have not had the best recent records, as I've mentioned, in the cup, exiting rounds 4 and 3 to Tottenham Hotspur and Oxford United, respectively, in the last 2 seasons. What is it about West Ham and cup competitions?
Well, we've from the 70s and 80s and very early 80s, we had a great run in the cups, both primarily FA Cups, and then once in the League Cups, and a couple of semi-finals as well. So we've had a bit of pedigree, but then it's been a long time ago. I think what most fans just remember in recent years is us basically just giving them away. The managers playing second-tier teams, not really continuing with any momentum, and so you get cup exits. Like on Moyes' first turnaround, when we played Arsenal, we could have gone into a quarter-final, could have gone into a semi-final, and he threw that away. Pellegrini did the same. Let's not forget, the Oxford United and the Wimbledon fiasco. So it hasn't been pretty for the last few years. So they need to really put some effort into this one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a cup run we're so desperate for, isn't it? It's like, would you accept middle of the table, or just survival if you had a really good cup run and potentially a cup final at Wembley, Richard? Would you accept that? Would it make the Premier League a bit more helpful? Make it just a little bit easier?
Well, I mean, right now I probably would, because I've consigned myself to the fact that we probably are going to be in a relegation scrap this season. So I wouldn't mind us getting to a final cup competition. If we'd managed to make some signings and we'd had a bit of positivity in around the camp, and it looked like we'd be pushing for a top 10 or top 8 finish, then maybe I wouldn't mind, or I'd excuse our manager not taking the cup competition as seriously. But right now, it's pretty much all we've got. So I really hope Moyes goes all in, and it's a difficult one though, because you might say that he's not playing his best side if he goes and puts some youngsters in, but at the same time, our so-called starting 11 is probably quite shot for confidence right now, so it might not be the worst idea chucking a few youngsters in and letting them show what they're all about against Charlton.
It's funny though, because we've gone through so many seasons, and if you think back to was it when Sam Allardyce played all the youngsters over the Christmas period in the FA Cup, and we got slated because West Ham got smashed 5-0. Was that Blackburn? I can't remember who it was against. Forest, right? Absolutely smashed. But let's be honest, all the fans were craving the youth to play. Now, I suppose the difference was he literally played the full youth side, where, we're probably looking at realistically West Ham bringing in a mixture of experience and youth. Moyes said today that if this is going to be a game for some of the players have been on the fringe. So, Alf, I mean, what do you expect to see from potentially players like Lanzini and Anderson?
Yeah, absolutely. The likes of Snodgrass, the Balbuena, I would see being featured, because it's also, not only is it a good opportunity to give some experience to some of the young players, but it's also to get some game time, match fitness for the other players in the squad as well. Let's not forget, we need to cover injuries and we need to cover players that are out of form as well. So, I'm a great one for, blood in the youth, but we've also got to make sure that our senior players are actually being played as well.
Absolutely.
That works well for the whole harmony, of the dressing room as well. You need to have your top players. Touching on what Rich said there, let's not forget here that on paper, our squad in general should wipe the floor with Charlton. They should, on paper. But it comes down to confidence. It comes down to being out of performance, knowing what their role is, knowing how to play against a lower league team who are going to come with a lot of energy. And that's where, if you hark back, maybe not so much the Wimbledon game, but the Oxford game, was it last season before? That was a terrible game to watch. Because they just came at us, and they just came at us and at us and at us, and then we just sort of basically completely folded under them. And so this could really happen. A high energy team. They've started reasonably well. They had a terrible time last year in the Championship when they got promoted, but the season before they went through on the playoff final, didn't they? When they were in League One, got to Championship, didn't do well. It seems as if they picked themselves up. They've started their campaign, not too bad. They've got 3 strikers who have all scored already. A couple of goals have come from midfields as well, 1 from defender. So look, they got potential for goals all over the pitch. So West Ham beware. That's all I would say.
Yeah, it's always kind of got one of those things. I mean, I think you just mentioned there, like on paper, and every single time we come up in these fixtures, Richard, we always talk about on paper, but we've just got this thing. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I want to be the underdog in these competitions, and I hate sometimes playing the underdog. Historically, fans look at the draw and think, yes, we've got Shrewsbury, we've got Charlton, we've got Wimbledon, and you're like, there's us through. But that's just not the way for West Ham. In actual fact, I'd rather us pick up a top level Championship side, or potentially a Premier League rival. And I know that's the craziest decision, but listen, I mean, we're coming up against, and Alf's touched on Charlton's recent successes and potential not great times, but we're coming up against Lee Bowyer, who of course played for West Ham over 40 times for the club during another turmoil time at the club as well. And now he is the manager of Charlton. And I mean, he's done all right, is he not? And I think today, or someone is rumoured to say that one day he'd love to manage West Ham as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, oh, sorry, Alf.
No.
I think he got dealt a really bad hand at Charlton, Lee, with the owners. They had a really torrid time with management there. And going back to what Alf said about the fact that Charlton are going to come at us, I do worry about the likes of, or the characters that we have at West Ham at the moment, the likes of Anderson. I hate to single out players, but I look at players like Anderson, I look at Lanzini's, and I'm thinking to myself, are they the type of guys you want when you've got a League One side in Charlton that are going to be coming at us 150%? They're going to be flying into tackles. I'm not sure I want passengers in a game like that. So that's where I'd hope that Moyes would place players like Rob Snodgrass, give them a run out. He knows exactly what's coming. Whereas Anderson and Lanzini, I'm not sure. I think they might be ready for another Sunday stroll. And that's why in the past we've lost these type of games. Yeah. But going back to Bowyer, he's done really well at Charlton with what he's had. He got a really, really tough hand. They were unlucky to go down in the end. It was a really, really tight finish to the Championship season. And yeah, he'll be keen to try and get one over on us. And he did come out, as you said, potentially wanting a West Ham job in the future. And I wouldn't be surprised if he got it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I mean, today West Ham were playing Chelsea, and the younger lads were playing, and there was 3 players missing. I think people were thinking this is going to be maybe an opportunity to see the likes of Cardosa maybe make a step up, but he was playing today. Obadiku though wasn't in the lineup, and this is the young talent that came West Ham signed from Manchester United. He was prolific at Manchester United. We obviously got him on a decent contract and brought him in to develop his career, and he's just banging in goals left, right, and centre at that stage. We saw a little bit of him over pre-season. But mixing a bit of him with maybe a Sebastian Haller, would that make a bit of a difference, Alf, and also help the youth prospects come on more?
Yeah, I think we've got to temper our enthusiasm here a little bit, I think, for wanting the youth to come in, because, this is going to be a pressure match for West Ham, would you believe? And Haller hasn't been on great form at all. He's been a major disappointment for me ever since we got him, really. And we could talk about, being played in the right position, but putting him with a youngster, it could either go brilliantly or it could go be a complete disaster. So I think the youth should be on the bench, definitely. Maybe start 1 or 2 of them, but let's not go overboard with trying to start a lot of the young players and thinking that they're going to win the game for us, and also not pairing them with other players that are actually struggling themselves.
Yeah, what do you think of that, Richard?
You know what? I'm a hopeless romantic, and I would love for Moyes to play Odubeko. He's really full of confidence at the moment. This could be a game for him to score a goal and become get the fans on his side. It's a difficult one when it comes to Seb Haller, because he was really, really good in pre-season, banging in goals. Then didn't get started by Moyes. He went with Antonio. But Alf makes a good point. It's difficult throwing youngsters into a side where you've got players that are short of confidence and that are struggling, because you almost need the experienced players to take the youngsters under their wing. And right now, I'm not sure that's going to be the case. So it's a really tricky one. But yeah. I would love for him to play 1 or 2 of the youngsters. I would love for him to give Odubeko a start. It would be brilliant for me if he did that.
Rich, yeah. Would you start with the young players, or would you bring them on as subs?
I'd start 1 or 2 in the starting 11, and then I'd have 3 or 4 on the bench with a few experienced players. Obviously, you don't have to flog the youngsters in. I think that would be the wrong decision to make. But why not give 1 or 2 a chance, and then have the main spine of the side experienced, and just give Odubeko a run out? He's not playing tonight, so I'd love to see that happen. And play 2 up front. Play 1 defensive midfielder instead of 3, and just have a go. We are the Premier League side. We should be the side taking the game to Charlton. We shouldn't be going there full of fear and, worrying about whether we're going to get a result. This should be a game where we should give a few of the youngsters a chance and really go out there and get a result.
And we should have the composure to be able to deal with that, to deal with their, when they're coming at us. And we should have the class to be able to play through them. But again, we kind of harp on about this every time we play these lower league teams in these cup competitions. We always seem to struggle, and it could be. I hope not, but it could be that thing again. I mean, as I say, what we touched on earlier on, about would you like to see a good cup run? Yes, I would. And would I accept a poor league form this season, but avoid relegation, but have a really good cup run? I would, actually.
Yeah.
And the reason why I would is because of this. It just gives the fan base something to be happy about. We know we should be at minimum a top 10 side. We should be a top 8 side, really, but we're not. We're not, and we have no right to be. But with the players that we've got, we should be. But we're not going to be there. I'm convinced we're not going to be anywhere near that this season, unless a miracle happens. So a good cup run was just going to lift the spirits of everybody. And also, a good cup run will actually attract investment. It would attract players for next season to come to us as well. Especially if we win, then we'll be in Europe as well. So,
Exactly, because this is probably the first season. I mean, West Ham are known for being the most optimistic fans. We all think every season is going to be fantastic. Even up until last season, we went into the season with quite a lot of confidence. And this is the first season where I genuinely believe that it's going to be a major struggle for us. I'm clutching at straws, trying to be positive for the season. So, in my opinion, this Premier League season is already a write-off. We're going to have to really dig in to stay up. So why not give everything in the cup competition? I would love to see us get to a final and go to Wembley. It's been a hell of a long time. I still have, although it was a really, really tough day when we lost to Liverpool in the FA Cup final, I still have really fond memories of that FA Cup run that we had. I think those are some of the brightest memories I've had as a West Ham fan. So why not have a cup run? Let's go for it.
I think it's tough though, isn't it? It's like you have so many expectations as a West Ham fan, and then bang, you brought it down to reality. And I think for the first time in a long time as a West Ham fan that I can actually remember in my time, and I'm 36. I know I don't look a day over 21, but for a 36-year-old, like literally, I've come into this season. I've been somehow, I don't know where, a little bit positive, but nowhere near as positive what I am in every year. I mean, we didn't do a preview of the season this season. And normally, if you look back at the previews of every season I've done, I've predicted us to be top 5, top 6. I mean, I absolutely don't think we will be. Although what's presented itself to West Ham and all clubs around the world is the pandemic, and probably given West Ham an opportunity to get the squad to get to know each other, etc. The funny thing is, guys, I filmed a video today that I was going to put on the show, and it was really quite I didn't realize how aggressive I got in it, and that's why I didn't post it, because of my real strong opinions of what's actually happening just now. But that's what's happening now. So the negativity is feeding into me for the first time in a long time, and I'm starting to go into games against the likes of Charlton, who play in League One, and I'm potentially not thinking so positively like where I used to be, a bit like what you said, Alf, and it's really hard not to think like that. But listen, let's talk about one of the main men who's going to be on the tips of the tongues of both sides just now, and that's Josh Cullen. He's spent a couple of seasons now on loan at Charlton, and he's now back with West Ham, and he still may end up back at Charlton. We don't know, but this is make or break. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks left in the season for Cullen to try and prove to the West Ham faithful and David Moyes that he's more than capable of performing at this level. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. We're going to see him tomorrow, Alf, isn't it?
I would say so. I would say he was, he's a good replacement for Noble, who, they didn't really shine on Saturday, did they? I think for Cullen, it's now or never, I'm afraid to say. And if it doesn't work for him, we've got to look at moving him on, because it's just, it would have happened by now. And I know he's still a young lad. I know that. But, you got to look at the quality that he has and the quality that we probably demand in midfield. And, but I hope he does well. I certainly hope he plays. It'd be great if he scored against Charlton.
When he came on against Bournemouth, he was kind of he was a kind of only glimmer of hope. Now, I watched him in the game before that, and he was a lot quieter, although he was playing in a kind of just the formation at the time he was playing in with beside the players he was playing with, it just didn't work at the time. But for this particular one, for this particular game, what kind of player should be playing in beside Josh Cullen? Like, we're probably not going to see Mark Noble. We're probably not going to see Declan Rice. We're probably not going to see Souček. So how can you see that central midfield pairing, looking up? Will it be a kind of tricky player beside him, or?
To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Moyes played Noble in this game. I'm not even being dramatic here. I think this would be a good game for Nobes to play alongside Cullen, to have that experienced head next to him. And to be honest with you, I feel really, really sorry for the lad. He's been at West Ham for such a long time. Went out on loan to Charlton and did so well there, got their Player of the Year. And to be honest with you, I don't see him having a future at West Ham, and my heart breaks for him, because the managers don't give him a chance. I mean, for me, he offers us more than Mark Noble does. And I just watched Nobes on Saturday, and for me, he's just turned into a brick wall type player where the lads give him the ball and he just gives it straight back to him. He's not looking to go forward. He doesn't have much of an engine anymore. So my heart really does break for Josh Cullen because he's a Hammers lad, and I would love to see him to go on and make some first-team appearances. But I think in a game like this, I agree, we won't see Souček, we won't see Declan Rice, but I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if Mark Noble played alongside Cullen. And I think it actually could work in this type of game. This would be the right game to play someone like Noble.
Do you want to see something like that, Alf, or would you rather see more of a kind of? Do you think Richard and Alf, do you think that's more of a negative approach in the midfield for West Ham to be going into a game against Charlton, or is that me giving a disservice to Charlton?
Well, yes and no. I mean, personally, I'm not saying I can see what Richard's saying about having Noble in there. I can certainly see it. And he might even be successful in there. I'm just not sure whether it's the right play. I would personally, I know it's out of position, but he's played there in the past, and he's played in previous cup ties in the past there. Snodgrass. I'd have Snodgrass right alongside Cullen, right in the centre there, and just have the creative players either side of him as well. And I would match Charlton with a 4-4-2 as well. So I just have Snodgrass there and Cullen in the middle, and just go head to head with Charlton and just stop them playing, but also take the game to them. Because if we don't take the game to them, we're going to invite them onto us, and with their pace and with their naivety, if you pardon the pun, Charlton fans, if you're watching, it's they'll have us, they'll take us. You see.
Yeah. Listen, before we kind of move on to either predictions, etc., and team selections, a couple of players of note for Charlton to keep an eye out on are Dillian Levitt, who's just recently signed on loan from Manchester United. And in actual fact, after he signed on loan, Manchester United contacted Charlton and added in a clause where they could pull him back at any moment at all. He's just recently made his international debut for Wales, full international debut for Wales, after only making one senior appearance for Manchester United. He's a midfielder, and apparently they're saying that this is like the next, I don't know if they're classifying him as Michael Carrick, etc., but there's a lot of plaudits for this guy, and already Lee Bowyer said he is going to be starting against West Ham tomorrow. And then on top of that, Charlton's keeper Phillips won't be available for tomorrow's game, so just giving you a little bit of kind of further team news regarding Charlton. But Alf, Richard, let's have a brief discussion on what we think will start, and listen, get your comments in and let us know who you would like to see start for the game. I mean, it's probably a no-brainer, and I think Moyes has said it already, that Darren Randolph will start the game tomorrow, who's just come back from Republic of Ireland into duty. So I think that's a good move for him. But if I'm being brutally honest, though, I am disappointed that it's not a younger player. I know Anang played today in the game, and we've got Trott as well. But I just don't get my head around the fact that why we're not giving these younger players and younger goalkeepers a chance. I really don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got so many goalkeepers. It's a difficult one because, I mean, you look at the likes of Randolph and Dave Martin. This is the only real time or opportunity they have to play. So Moyes is kind of at a crossroads trying to decide whether he goes with someone like Anang, who, is represented England, or Trott, who's also represented England at youth level, or you go with someone like Randolph, who for me I have more than enough confidence in. So yeah, I think it's a good call. What are your thoughts, Alf?
I think Randolph is a decent keeper. All keepers can make mistakes, and he can as well, just like anybody else. But I think he's a decent keeper, and I think he will start, and I think he'll do quite well in this game. I have faith in Randolph, actually. Not compared to Fabianski. Well, on an informed Fabianski, I should say. But certainly as a second keeper, and for this kind of game, yeah, definitely all day long.
What about, are we going to go for a formation of 4-4-2? Is that what we actually think? I mean, I do think we will do.
I hope so.
Yeah. Alfie, you agree?
I think we just got to be really careful about how we set up against, the basics of a Lee Bowyer side from Charlton and the players that they've got. And I think a 4-4-2 is the way to go. You know, especially with the young players, if we're going to bring those in, you know, we've got to keep it simple. Dare I say it? I mean, you know, I don't want to offend anybody, but dare I say it? Something like that.
Yeah. So we're going to see a back four then. So realistically, again, Moyes' comments said Balbuena will probably start. So who goes in alongside him? It probably won't be Diop or Augie. So are we thinking one of the younger players and probably Baptiste then?
Could well be. I mean, I really have been shocked and disappointed for him, because you look at for Issa Diop, because he came to West Ham as such a young, bright prospect, and he's really struggled in the last couple of seasons. Even on Saturday, he was really below par. So this might be a game to just give him a break, because the Charlton are going to come at us 100%. And I'd love to see Baptiste get a chance. He performed really well in pre-season. So yeah, I could easily see him going in alongside Balbuena, and I really hope, you know, when we do move on to the right back position, that Ben Johnson gets a chance, because I was disappointed that he didn't start the game against Newcastle.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I don't know if there was a kind of decision there based upon the fact that they think he maybe had a hot head after the Bournemouth game, and maybe that was something to do with the Diangana sale. But at the end of the day, I mean, for me personally, Johnson, I was a bit disappointed that Johnson didn't start the game the other day. So I think it's a no-brainer for me that he's got to start. Alf, are you in agreement with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say, Johnson definitely start.
Left back then?
King Arthur
Masuaku.
I'd say that's a fair shout, actually, to have Masuaku in there. Why not? You know, we've got to use him. Why not?
So we've got midfield four. We've got players like Lanzini, Anderson that didn't feature at the weekend. We've got Cullen, that's obviously, you know, available. Connor Coventry as well. I mean, what Cullen? Like I said, Cullen. What do we think? Where are we going to go with the four?
Well, certainly, as I said before, I think in the four, Cullen and Snodgrass in the centre. I'm just wondering whether he would change Anderson out to the right and bring Lanzini left, or just put Yarmolenko on the right, give him a bit of game time. Anderson on the left.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know. I'm kind of undecided about that one.
In theory, what we're naming here is nearly a full 11 change side. Because so far we've named 5 players that are all changed from the game that started. Do we think that there's not going to be any player that's going to play that had anything to do with the game on Saturday, or even start, like Antonio?
I've got a really sneaky feeling that Noble's going to start. That's just me. I don't know why, but I can just see it happening. That's one player I think would stay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I think that might be true. Actually, that might be true that Noble starts. I think that, you know, again, it comes back to the earlier point I was making about, you know, bringing all the young players through. You know, we've got a decent second team, and we need to give them game time. So whether we start with youth, or whether we have them on the subs bench to bring them on, or whether we keep Noble on the subs bench, just in case we get to 60 minutes, 65 minutes, and we're losing the game, and we need somebody to, you know, grab the game by the scruff of the neck and, you know, take it to Charlton. You know, it'd be something like that. But, you know, the players, our second team, as it were, should be playing for me.
So we're looking at Cullen, potentially Noble, Anderson, Lanzini. You know, there's a lot of kind of tricky, forward-thinking players there. If we're going for a 4-4-2, get your comments in. Let us know your thoughts on some of those players. Up top then, is it a no-brainer that Haller is going to start tomorrow's game?
I think so.
Yeah,
I would say so.
And if we're doing a 4-4-2, who's going to go in alongside him?
Odubeko.
Do you think he'll start? I'm not sure he'll start.
I don't think he will. I honestly don't think he will. I'd love him to, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Alf? Well, I don't know what the status of Silva is, but I'd have something like that against up there with him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's been rested for the under-23s.
Is Nathan Holland injured at the moment?
Yeah, I've not seen much about him, and I don't think there's a bit of chat, but I think he is picked up an injury, and I think he's kind of struggling to get fit. So I don't think we'll see anything of him tomorrow.
Yeah.
But then again, it's West Ham at the end of the day, so we never saw anything of Diop over 3 or 4 weeks, and bang, we played Bournemouth, and he's in the starting lineup. So it's just typical West Ham. You know, maybe there's the insiders not giving as much information out to all the ITKs as much as they used to anymore. So We'll see what happens. Anyway, get your predictions in, guys. Get your predictions in and let us know your predictions for tomorrow's night game. Make sure you tune in tomorrow because we're doing a match day live. We'll be
7-0.
7-0. 7-0. To who? To who, Alf?
I didn't expect to lose that badly, Alf.
Come on, Alf. Come on.
3-1 West Ham.
3-1 West Ham. Richard.
Yeah, I'm going exactly the same as that. I can see us conceding a goal, but I just believe there's enough. There has to be enough there. Come on, lads, please.
We're pleading, aren't we? We're please.
Already, it's one game into the season and we're pleading.
Are we being a bit unfair to the team, to the club and Moyes? And we're already picking holes, but it's weird, isn't it? You already feel a little bit, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't think it's make or break for West Ham's season, but winning tomorrow's game can only but add confidence. Doesn't matter what starting 11 start, as long as they're in and around that first team squad. Because my word, we need confidence from somewhere, especially if you look at West Ham's next 5 to 6 fixtures after the Charlton game. So it's integral in a way. It's integral for West Ham to run out there and go and get a result and potentially play one of the strongest sides they possibly can, with the mindset that they've got Arsenal coming up at the weekend. So I'm going to go for a very confident 4-2 victory. I think we'll concede because I think we always concede. But I think we're capable of getting 4 goals, especially with the players that we've named, and if they're played in the right positions. But I do think we will concede. And listen, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what league a club's in. When they come up against a very well-known side like West Ham in terms of what's going on and off the park, any side's going to be up for it. Any side's also going to come up to the London Stadium and go, "Yeah, we're up for this." We're up for this. So it's down to West Ham and Moyes to make the right team selection, West Ham to get up for it, and etc. So yeah, let's go for a 4-2.
At least we have Grady Diangana. So sorry.
Oh yeah,
forgot about that. Yeah. So
that's been the biggest criticism of West Ham. Let's say you could say in the last 4 years, and all the managers that we've had, is that we haven't built any momentum when we should have done. And we've lost momentum by losing or having poor performances in the league, or losing those cup games when we really it was on a knife edge whether we kick on and have a decent season or we just turn into a pile of poop.
Absolutely.
So we need to stop that. We need to make this a momentum, gaining game rather than a losing game.
Why don't we get through some of the comments before we head off, guys? John Wayne says, "Greetings, everyone. Hope you're well, John." Ahmed Basti is saying, "Good evening, guys." I'm bringing up just so we're all a bit tidier up there on the screen for us all. Hope you're well, Ahmed. Ellie Sullivan. Ellis Sullivan is saying, "Hope Obadiku plays and does well." I think we're all in agreement there, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Lee, WHUFC, hi, hope you're well, mate. Stans lad, hopefully the young lads that were left out of the Chelsea game today will feature tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you. Like Alf said, maybe not all to start, but as long as there's a good mix of experience, etc. there, then Neil, evening from South Australia, 5:50.
Legend.
Good morning, Neil.
Absolutely. Richard, I'll leave this one to you, mate.
Play some of the youngsters. They might have more fire and grit than most of the so-called first-team players. Spot on, Marcus. Spot on.
Yes, they might.
Again, Richard, you do the next couple, mate.
Evening, lads, from Linda. Good evening, Linda. And then Victor Fenn. A number of the under-23s didn't play today in their game. Yeah, absolutely. So that could definitely be a sign that they could get some game time. So let's hope. Fingers crossed. Tone, GSB out. Wow, okay. You love to see it. Our squad is terrible. The football is terrible. Probably will go down playing like that. But either way, all I care about is GSP out. It's the only way West Ham will feel like West Ham again. You're not wrong, mate.
I think a lot of people feel the same.
Yeah.
On that one.
Richard Walton. I'd take no cup runs to survive in the Premier League this season.
No, I'm not having that. Sorry, not having that.
Got to survive.
Got to survive. But we've got to have a good cup run.
Play Lanzini in the middle where he belongs, and maybe we'll see what he's really worth. Yeah, I agree. I think this is the type of game where Lanzini playing as an attacking midfielder, he could definitely be the man to unlock Charlton's defense.
Or play Lanzini alongside Haller, or just behind him, I should say.
Yeah.
Do something like that.
Victor Fenn saying Cardoso has not progressed as much as the club would have liked.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, he's not really had a huge amount of chance, really, has he? Richard Walton Boyer's players will come out fighting, hopefully, with each other. Well, you know, he's got a history of that with Kieran Dyer.
You can forget that. Yeah, that was a crazy moment.
Stan's lad, last year at Oxford, I thought it would be good to see Ajeti and Roberto. Look how that worked out. Absolutely, mate.
I remember. Yeah, it was horrible.
I think we were actually. I remember that really, really clearly. Like Ajeti, and Roberto. Yes, come on! And it's like, oh my word!
I remember I was pulling out all the stops for that game to try and get to that game because I was in the area. I was phoning round. I was getting Stout to phone all his mates and say, right, okay, get on your ticket. Just couldn't get there. And I was just like, thank Christ I didn't go.
Yes, I agree, Guts. And you better post the video, mate.
Yeah. I might do a rerun of the video actually, and you know, I was going to try and do a transfer one because there's loads of players we're linked to, so maybe we'll see tomorrow. Creative Sasha Anderson should play and dominate. I wish he does. I mean, you know, we've got where's my finger? We've got a hater right there.
No, man. I want the best. I want the best for all West Ham players, but I mean, you demand the best, and there's a certain level that's expected from West Ham, and I just don't believe Anderson's been doing enough. But I wish the best for him. If he goes and scores 2 goals against Charlton, I'll be delighted.
Yeah. Tord, expect Moyes to play it safe and get punished. Listen, there's loads of comments. I'm just going to skip through a few and try and come close.
Let's hope he doesn't play it safe. Let's hope he does actually respect the game, respect the opposition, and take it to them.
Yeah.
And the players as well, not only the manager and the coaching staff, but the actual players. They do what they're supposed to do, and just have some positivity.
Stan's making a point here, but I don't know if it's as drastic as their time's up if they can't play tomorrow. I think it's related to the fact that what position they play in, and you know, I'm just going to get. I'm not going to keep going on about it, but if Anderson is playing out in the wing, I'm sorry, whether, you know, that's not, in my opinion, his best position. I just think he's completely wasted there. Well, I know sometimes he should be able to play there, but it completely defeats the purpose having a luxury player out there. And, you know, then again, can you play Anderson and Lanzini in the same team? I'm not so sure, but it'd be nice to see Ratchford. It'd be nice to see West Ham play 4-3-3 in any comments. Hope you're well. Thanks for commenting, mate.
It'd be interesting to see, actually, because I have noticed on social media this week, quite a few more people have been voicing their opinion that, you know, obviously we always talking about Anderson, Lanzini, whether they go, but Rice, they're opening their minds a little bit to possibly selling Rice, and whether they'll cash in and try and get, you know, better squad players. I get. And it's the same kind of thing. Do you sell Anderson? Do you sell Lanzini? The thing is, we're selling on paper again for those two quality players. Rice, a massive quality player.
Yeah.
We're just
thing is you can only sell players that are wanted by other clubs, and right now Lanzini and Anderson aren't, so they stuck with us. Rice, on the other hand, is a different proposition.
Yeah. I've certainly noticed, and I don't really look into social media that much, but I've certainly noticed there's quite a few comments coming up on my feed, and people just not waking up, but entertaining the idea that Rice could go. And I was like, wow, I was surprised.
I think I get your point, though, Alf. I've seen it. I've seen people actually say, would you accept 80 million plus this? Would you accept 50 million plus this? But my video today was related to the potential sale of Declan Rice, not just even if he wasn't sold this summer, but the fact is West Ham fans were trying to justify that if he stays for a season and we'll sell him next season, is that good enough? Absolutely not. Like, no. He shouldn't be looking at selling him next summer. What's the point of building something around him? It defeats the purpose.
Exactly. This was my point the other day when I did my video as well. You know, the only reason you sell players is if they're not performing or they show no potential. You never sell your best players. If you want to build a team, if you want to build a club, you never sell those best players whilst they're on form, and that's it. You know.
My biggest worry is that our recruitment has just been awful over the last few years. So I mean, it's all good and well saying we're going to have 80 million pounds to spend, but we don't know how to spend our money anyway. So
exactly right.
we could potentially go backwards even further than we were. So our recruitment's shocking. So I'd keep him at all costs.
This question, this will be the last question, if that's okay. Vinay saying, what is the best position for Anderson? He's a very talented player. Me personally, he sits in the number 10 role. It's a no-brainer for me. He's got to sit in the number 10 role, and he's got to play in behind whatever we've got up top, because that's where he penetrates defences. That's what he's designed to do. Yeah. And, I don't want him tracking back. It's a little bit like the time when we had Payet. And all the fans were calling for Payet to track back as much as we possibly could, and that's not the style of play that he plays. People are slagging off Payet for going back to Marseille, but he's playing in the Champions League. Did he win? Did they win the Europa League
final? I think
they got to the final. I mean, it's just like, I don't know.
And they beat Marseille. Has he gone Marseille? He stayed at Marseille.
Yeah.
Didn't they beat PSG?
They beat PSG the other night. Yeah.
Yeah, the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. They've done all right.
So,
look, the whole thing about this, everybody's upset with the board and everybody's, wants them out and all this kind of stuff. I mean, interestingly, there's rumours going around that some offers might be on the table. A couple of American investors, one Saudi or something investor. There's somebody, I have no idea, who seems to be trying to leak information. But
there's stuff going around now saying that there's apparently there's about 1 million in the nose now. People, ITKs, everyone knows everything about West Ham, and and then you've got Jim, the mouthpiece, best pal, Jim White of the board speaks out today saying he asked one of the club owners whether they're ready to sell the club. GSB answers not yet. Listen, he made a comment about being held out to dry, and I know this is not about. This is a preview for the Charlton, but I don't know. Maybe I should save it.
No, go on. As we're here,
just give us a taste.
No, just like, what message is it that the board are wanting to portray by sending a message out the mainstream media, is in particular TalkSport, who is, when I listen to TalkSport, and I've been an avid listener to TalkSport for many years. Yeah. Jim White made a point today by saying it was a minority of fans. Now, I think Jim White is doing something wrong here. He's judging social media. Yeah. Now, I do believe that social media fans only represent a minority of fans, of West Ham fans. But do I believe that the majority want Gold, Sullivan, Brady out to progress the club? I absolutely do believe that. The problem I've got with the situation is the messaging. The messaging from the owners, and they don't speak out themselves. There's no transparency from them at all. They never come out and apologise. I think the last time I saw anything remotely considerate was when David Sullivan spoke out about bringing Pellegrini in, and he kind of, in that statement they put out on the club website, he kind of apologised-ish to the fan base, saying, listen, we know we maybe got it wrong. It's totally ripping into David Moyes, bringing in Pellegrini, backing him, and then bringing David Moyes back. The messaging that they put out, business owners, forget the money just now, business owners to put, it's all about marketing, it's all about branding. They're doing it all completely wrong. If they want a new fan base, the current fan base are the ones that are paying the money. We're the ones that spend the money. We're the ones that are going to go to the shops. Make it as easy for us to spend more money. And by us spending more money, speak to the fans. Let the fans know what it is you are wanting to do. If you don't want to be at the club, do you know what? I won't see Mike Ashley. If Mike Ashley speaks up and says, I don't want the club anymore, the Newcastle fans are probably happier with that. But the difference between Mike Ashley potentially and our current owners is Mike Ashley's going, do you know what? In order for me to get the best money back for the club that I own, I will invest in the squad, because it's not within my business sense to run that club into the ground, because I won't get as much money as they possibly can. The owners have to look at themselves and go, business, they may have money, they may have assets. When they walk out of this whole process, they may have money in their pocket, but they can't turn around and say, look what we've done for you guys, because they've done fuck all for our guys. Do you know what I mean? And I said to Nigel the other day, guys, I said to him as well, I was like, I'm so kind of disappointed that social media wasn't around at the time, or was around but wasn't as prominent with the fan base or out there, because we were going to the games the final couple of seasons at Upton Park, as we all were, and you know, Nigel's been doing this for such a long time, like telling people it was the wrong move, but because fair play to him, he saw past the shit we saw, and I fell for it. I absolutely fell for it. Anyway, sorry.
Well, no, I was just to touch on that. I wasn't involved with any sort of fan groups or online fan groups or anything back then, but I felt a real deep sense that this was wrong, what I was saying to everybody I spoke to, this is wrong. We should not be moving. We should not be. There's no need to move. There's no, you know, all this sort of stuff. There's something wrong here. There's something going on behind the scenes that we shouldn't be allowed. But I felt completely impotent to do anything about it. And I think and I was surprised that I didn't really know a lot, or I couldn't really see a lot going on either. I'm sure there was stuff going on to stop it, but lots of people were taken in by this as well.
Absolutely.
And it was just like, you know, and for me, I was just never happy. It never sat right about leaving. But that's not. But the reason I mentioned that, not is because I want to say, "Hey, look, I was right." It was just because social media back then and YouTube. Well, you know, none of us were involved in that back then. That's the thing.
That's it. Absolutely.
And now there's more pressure that we can apply, because this is the language that, you know, people and media are listening to now. Social media and stuff like that, and they're listening to people like us to a certain degree, you know.
Absolutely. And listen, you know,
not just us three. I'm talking like collectively. Then,
100%. And to touch on, you know, Graham Souness's comments about Mark Noble, listen, if you dissect the comment, I understand what Graham Souness was saying, but he's not taken in the context of the situation. Mark Noble is like the three of us.
Yeah,
West Ham through and through. Like, it's in our blood. We think about it all day, every day. Like, as sad as that sounds. And when the shit hits the fan, like it's been hitting the fan for such a long time, and Mark, you know, fans are running on the park. Mark Noble's trying to get them off the park. He's been a big selling point into why we should have moved stadiums. It's not all gone correct. Things are getting out into the media. Then bang, Mark Noble puts a tweet out. It's everyone goes on the attack for Mark Noble. Now, at the end of the day, I kind of understand why he shouldn't have done it. But we would have all probably have done it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So there's got to be context taken from it. It can't just be he says this, she says this, and you shouldn't do it because you're a club captain. Everything has to be taken into context, in my opinion. And I could be wrong in saying that, but you know, you can't just judge a book by its cover because he's the club captain. He lives and breathes that club. He loves this club like we do. Like, you know. Fair play to Mark Noble for speaking out and saying what he said. I'm sorry, guys. I know this is a Charlton preview, but slightly digressed.
No, it's obvious the way we are as a club and as a fan base right now. You know, any conversation that we have is always going to come back to this, and it's such a divided fan base with lots of opinion. There's lots of jumping on the bandwagon. There's lots of people claiming things and saying things on both sides of the argument, if you like, that are just not true as well. So we've got to, you know, and what we try to do, you know, in this channel at least, is try and be at least balanced. We all have our private thoughts. We all, you know, are not happy with the situation for a long time, but we still try and bring a balanced view of what's going on at West Ham, or what we see is going on at West Ham as well. But the fact of the matter is that they failed. They failed the West Ham fan base. They failed the club. They have failed at every decision they've made. They've pretty much failed, and it comes back to what you said earlier on, Anton. It was that there's just no clarity. There's just no admission of wrongdoing. There's just nothing. There's no proper engagement and communication with the fan base to say, look, this is what we're trying to do. We're not doing very well. We're failing. We need our help. We need to do, you know, if we had honest interviews, honest discussions with the fan base, I could go on and on and on. I could get really het up about this, But, it just doesn't happen. And that's where they fail. And that's why you get this anxiety building up over the last few years of lack of investment, just going to London Stadium where you're promised loads of stuff and it hasn't materialised. Just poor decision making, all the stuff going behind the scenes, the outbursts on the media and social media, the kids getting involved, all this sort of stuff, the money situation, it just goes on and on and on. And that's why you've got a whole fan base is just absolutely destroyed by this, really.
You see, Alf, the problem that I have is that as owners, they should be communicating with the fans. That's a given. That's a no-brainer. My biggest problem with the owners is they should not be going through Jim White to get their point across.
Correct.
We are the only club in the whole of England that has got so much spotlight on our owners in the media. That just sheds a terrible light on West Ham, and it makes our club look like an absolute mockery. There's no other owner in the Premier League that is so involved with the media compared to our owners. It's absolutely shocking, and until that stops, we are going to be laughed at until the owners sell up. It's an absolute mockery, and it's a disgrace.
But mainstream media have now been scared off from criticising West Ham and criticising the board ever since that Sunday show, whatever it was, did a piece. And then they took out legal action against them, and they had to retract the story or retract the statements. So ever since then, they haven't said anything as well.
Yeah.
And so this is why I've always said social media is really important to have the fan base have their say. Sometimes it's misguided, sometimes it's just biased and not factual, but a lot of the time it is a consensus opinion of what's going on.
Listen, guys, we've ranted and raved enough, and some people are coming in saying go back to the football. Richard, you've predicted a 3-1 victory tomorrow, as you have Alf as well. I've predicted a 4-2 victory for West Ham. Let's just hope West Ham can turn up tomorrow and give the fans something back in return. And like Alf said, build the momentum for the club and move forward into the game coming up against Arsenal. It's certainly going to be an interesting one, tomorrow's game and the ones coming up. But make sure you do join us for a Matchday Live. We will have a Matchday Live coming out to you tomorrow, so we'll have a couple of people on talking through the game, etc. So have a good laugh with us and make sure you join in tomorrow. Richard, Alf, any last words before we go?
No, good luck to the lads. Come on, you irons. Let's get a result tomorrow.
Yeah, that's all we need. We need a win.
See him right there. He's Alf, Revelator Alf, got his own YouTube channel. Check it out. Get on it. Him there is Richard Fasten, Joburg Premier League pundit, Irons United presenter. He's got loads of shows coming up in the future, Richard.
So many guys. It's the start of a massive project.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm Anton.